Hello, welcome back to Where in the World, where we have real conversations with young professionals about life and career, all while attempting to guess where in the world they are. We'll learn something new about our guests and what it's like to forge your own career path as a young professional. And when I say young, we're really talking about a state of mind. You'll learn by watching this web series that your career will take many dips and turns over time. And just when you think you've made it, you might have to scrap it all and start from scratch. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, and we ride the tide. I'm your host, Clarrie Johnson, and I'm joined here today by Erin Abundance Alexander, who is the founder of a startup, Melanin Erin Marketing. As a brand strategist, Erin teaches Black women how to market their business with their personality and align with their dream clients. The big, hairy question we're asking tonight is how can young professionals use personal branding to attract their dream careers? We're also going to talk about Rihanna, so let's put a pin in that. But before we jump in, let's do some housekeeping. This is a mini web series game show. The questions will range from standard like interview questions to more personal questions about our guests' careers. You'll notice we're both here today with different backgrounds, and in between questions, we'll each have an opportunity to guess where in the world the other person is. The first person to guess correctly wins. Our guests can also ask for clues along the way, and our audience can help us out by also asking for clues. So please, please, please drop a link in the comment and let's get involved. Please join me in welcoming Erin. So, Erin, I am so happy you're here. I really enjoyed our conversation about your insights during the ROI Summit recap event, and I wanted to pick your brain a little bit today, so I hope that's okay. As a quick recap for the folks who are just joining and don't know us very well, we recently crossed paths virtually during the ROI Millionaire Summit in Puerto Rico. And ever since then, I've just been gobbling up your content on LinkedIn. So I know you're bringing the sound bites tonight. I had a whole script planned for you today, and then I realized that the questions just didn't do you any justice. So this morning, I spent some time resetting the conversation, and now I'm ready to get started. How about you?
I'm very excited, and I love when hosts care about their work and care about their guests. So that just makes me feel that much better. So,
Absolutely. And what we're really doing is we're bringing really powerful content to our listeners and our viewers because we want to give a little bit more insight into what it's like to forge your own career path and to create a path that is very that is satisfying for you. And so the only way we can get those stories are by asking really, really good questions. So let's kick us off with the most common interview question. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
yeah. So, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited. I love the blend of travel. I love that the content here is going to be educational for people. This is stuff that I wish I knew, right? So, like, this is stuff I wish I knew when I was transitioning from 9 to 5 to a business, or even just throughout my 9 to 5 journey, because sometimes we leave our 9 to 5, but then I think now, like, I probably couldn't hang in the 9 to 5 world, I realistically, but if I could, there are ways to navigate, and we're going to get into this. There's ways to navigate and have a better experience at your job. Um, so to tell a little bit about myself, my name is Erin, of course. I'm the youngest of two. I'm the wild card of my family. Maybe when I was younger, I was feeling like a black sheep, but truly now I've kind of refined it into I'm the wild card. So I'm the innovator. I'm the one that wants to explore and try everything. And sometimes, I've definitely had pitfalls in my life, and I'll be detailing that more on my timeline because people learn from the mistakes you make, so you don't have to hide them. That comes out in storytelling for me as a brand strategist. And I am a Cancer. I am a very, very, I would say, talented brand strategist. in marketing. And so I help people develop their story for their business. My focus is human design. So I really, you were talking about personality earlier. So I review people's chart, very similar to astrology for people that have had their, astrology read, and we pull from like their design, their energy centers, to make sure that their business is in alignment, so that then they can find clients that are in alignment with their energy, with their natural gifts. And so it's a beautiful experience. But yes, I am from Rhode Island. I lived there until 2021 and then moved to Maryland, and that's where I live now.
Beautiful. So, what I loved most about your intro is that you included your zodiac sign.
It's important. Like, people need to know.
It is, and actually, it's funny because my childhood best friend was a Cancer, and I am a Taurus, and so she
Okay.
is like the more emotional, and then I'm very grounded and very stubborn and fixed in my ways, and so
Right.
we made a great match.
Right, because you can learn from other, even though sometimes it might get on your nerves, right? Because I can imagine sometimes she might be like, "Ooh, and what about this?" And you're like, "Let's pick something. We're going to this restaurant. We always go to this place. You know what the food is like. Stop trying my nerves."
Well, so now that we know a little bit about you, let's hop in. I want to guess where you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so clearly you're on a beach somewhere,
Hmm.
which there are a lot of beaches
Right.
on Earth. So I am going to try to narrow us down, and I'm going
Okay.
to say you are in Europe.
I am not.
You are not in Europe. Okay.
No, I'm not. I don't know why I had to think. Like, come on. No, I don't. I don't know why I had to think. But no, we are not in Europe.
Okay. I'm going to hold off on my clue for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And you're welcome to.
Okay. It's giving very Aztec. It's giving very so like so I want to ask
Mhm.
I'm torn between two completely separate places.
Okay.
But is this anywhere in Africa? Any of the countries in Africa?
It is in Africa.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna check in with the ancestors. I'm gonna just let them, because I have something in my mind, but I want to wait. I want to absorb it and keep looking and see
Okay.
where I've seen it.
Okay, so clearly you are very connected spiritually with the higher beings and higher powers that are speaking to you right now,
Mm.
telling you and giving these clues about where we are. So I want to get to know a little bit more about your connectedness. If you could describe your career at this moment and paint a picture of the path that brought you to this space.
Right. So currently, I'm an entrepreneur full time. I left my 9 to 5 in 2020, and I was in the mental health field for 7 years prior to that. So from my personal experiences, near death experiences, very toxic relationship experiences, and also growing up in the church. My dad was a preacher.
Hmm.
I've kind of developed this spirituality framework that works for me. So it's a mix between, I believe in God, and I also believe in the universe and signs and omens. I believe in energetic work. Um, and yeah, I think just working in the mental health fields, that's kind of a lot of what I worked at rehabs and different things. So that's kind of where I got some of that spirituality as well. It's hard for us to make great changes as humans. It's overwhelming. Even business is overwhelming. It's always changing. Marketing is always changing. Things that, it's taxes this month, and a few years ago was the pandemic. You don't know what's around the corner, and this is your livelihood. So for me, being able to tap into something higher than myself,
Mhm.
whatever that looks like for people at any stage of your career journey. For me, sometimes I have to give it away. I was talking to my mom about this. I'm like, some things just aren't meant for our brain. Like, yes, we're intelligent. Yes, we're creative. Yes, we're resourceful, but some of it is way too high for us to really be able to understand. It's too far out. And so for me, I just release it, and I'm like, I'm going to release it. Whatever happens happens. I know that, the universe is conspiring for my greatest good, and like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So like if the rent is due or whatever's stressing me out, it's like it's going to happen anyways. So why am I going to spend up all my energy for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, worrying about it, when I could just give it away and trust that I am able to walk through this and cope with this. But yeah, working in the mental health field definitely changed my perspective on everything. I would say, like, everything on the political level, dating, like, judging people, because addiction and so many other things, it doesn't have a face, it doesn't have a race.
Mhm.
All of these things we see on Law and Order SVU, like, these are real people. Well, not on the show, but like the people really actually struggle with those issues, and they could be your next door neighbor, they could be, someone that's involved in the PTA. So you just never know, and it shifts how you see things. I
Yeah,
think.
and I would say I'd agree with that. There are a couple of things that really stuck out to me. So this is from your previous answer when you were
Hmm.
describing your who you are in your career, and you're really talking about finding alignment with your purpose.
Yes.
And I think one of the things when I talk to the folks that I mentor, purpose, sometimes we try to solve that with our brain, right? We try to solve that
We
with
do.
our idea of the path our career should take, and we try to set it up in very tactical and tangible steps. And the reality is that our lives are a mixture of, yes, actionable steps that we can take, but also our environment and all the things that are happening around us. And so there is an element, and this is why our hashtag is ride the tide. There is an element of riding the tide and allowing yourself to go with the flow and the momentum and the force of life, because and trusting that life is going to lead you in the direction that you are intended to go. And
Right.
then and along that path, it's our responsibility to gather the tools and the resources and the knowledge to support our growth and development. But there is such an important part of just letting go, that I think we want to hold on so hard. We want to control that flow and that momentum. And then that is what, down the line, when we ultimately don't reach our goals or we feel that we failed, it can really derail us, right? Because
Yeah.
what you're not seeing is that there are bigger forces that are acting for our good. And that opportunity that we really wanted, that we didn't get, and that we view as a failure, may have actually been a door closing and another door opening. And
Right.
so in our lives, it's so important for us to have that spiritual groundedness, for us to have a practice of meditation and mindfulness that's integrated into our studies and integrated into all the courses and the classes that we're taking and all the
Right.
hard work that we're doing. We need to check back in with ourselves and check back in, as you said, with the universe, to say, okay, am I on the right path? And then let go and have faith and trust. um, and one thing I found in my own career that was so true is, I remember there was a time when I felt very stuck. I felt like I I went to school, I got 2 degrees, I was working at a job making $63,000 a year. Yeah, in living in LA with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt, paying
Woo!
lots of credit card debt at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, $63,000 on paper looks good, but when you take out taxes and you take out credit
Yeah.
card debt and you take out student loan debt, I was at a space where I was very much, I was food insecure.
Mm,
I was behind on rent. I was struggling. I was taking the bus to work, and I had this space where I was pushing so hard to get out of this job and trying to find a new job, and nothing was panning out. And there was this job that I really wanted, and it didn't work out. And there was this feeling of like, okay, when you're pushing so hard and it's not working, be still. Be
mm,
still,
mm.
because that what that means is there is something in your life right now, there's a lesson that you have not learned yet. And
Yes.
once you learn that lesson, then you'll be able to continue on. And so it was a good year before I applied for another job. And when that happened, the momentum was so fast and I was able to land that higher paying job. So I say that to say there is an element of having that spiritual groundedness and that mindfulness element as well. So I love that you're bringing that to the table today. Let's go ahead. I'm going to take my second
Yeah, yeah, go,
guess.
go.
Okay. So we're not in Europe.
No,
Are we in South America?
we are not.
Okay. So I have five more. Okay. Give me a clue
Um,
about these sandy beaches.
okay, so I know I should probably have this already.
You can Google.
Well, the thing is, because I feel like I'm gonna give it away by telling you any little
Mm,
thing, but
okay.
maybe you haven't been here.
Okay.
Um, Let me see. So, what about so a clue like what? Like the first letter of the name of the beach or like the
Or
essence of like the
even
country and
essence of the country, a fun fact, something that is not well known.
yeah. Oh, what's not well known that you might not know? Okay, I've been here to this place twice, so I'm like
Okay.
trying to think of what other people wouldn't know, but the locals have put me on. Uh It so I my sorry. So my hint is there is an area, not on this beach, but in the country
Hmm.
where you will see lots of goats.
Oh.
And it's like a particular area you can pay as a tourist to go. And they're like in the trees, which are on Google. They're like all throughout. And you can like go and hike and like take pictures with them and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. The goats are in the trees?
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
Okay. Alright. I will sit with that clue.
Yes. You've probably seen it on an explore page, maybe. I don't really see it as much anymore, but yeah, I've seen it on explore pages. I haven't gotten to the goat. I forget what it's called. There's a particular thing. It's like a little hiking by the beach type of thing, and you like
Okay.
get to take pictures and stuff. But anyways, so yes.
Alright. Oh, well, it's your turn now.
So okay, if I get it wrong, do I lose or like do
Yeah.
how does it go?
So if you don't guess correctly, I'll give you a clue,
Okay, cool.
and we'll keep guessing until you get it.
So
It sounds like you may already know where it is, though.
right. I have 2 places, but I'm going to take a wait, so is are these trees right here? Are they in they're like within the picture, like in the place that okay.
Yes.
These okay, okay.
The
'Cause I
palm
was like,
trees.
wait. Okay, so you said it's in Africa and okay, so to me this looks like northern Africa. Like I'm thinking like or maybe that should be my next question. Is it Northern Africa?
Well, let's find out. Let me pull up this map.
Oh, okay.
It is Northern Africa.
Okay, so I'm gonna take or can I take a guess now or do we
Yes,
wait again?
yes.
Okay. So my guess is Egypt.
No.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. it looked like it at the top, right? And then as I went down, I was like, "Oh, wait, I don't remember seeing this in pictures." And then when you said that this little area on the right or your left, maybe the trees, I'm like, "What?" That's in the middle of the kind of desert type of. All right, cool. So it's not Egypt. That's fine.
It is not Egypt. But you are correct in that it is Northern Africa.
Okay, cool.
I'll give you a clue about this place.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's one of the world's most diverse countries.
Okay.
All
Isn't
right.
that
Wait. Hold,
oh, okay. Well, let
sit
me
on
hold
it.
on.
Sit on it. We're gonna come back.
Thank you for the tip. Okay, cool. You're
Okay.
like, let him melt it, like let it just kind
Let
of
it
get in
sink
there.
in. Let it sit. All
Okay.
right. So let's move on to our next word. Let's talk about Rihanna. Okay. Can we just get
Yes.
that out the way? You
Yes.
recently posted a video that I'll include in the chat for anyone who wants to check it out. You were talking about how Rihanna leveraged the Super Bowl as a marketing platform. So, my question for you is for young professionals who don't have a large platform like the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
what are some practical steps they can take to build brand awareness? And then you can also just give us your quick reaction to Rihanna.
Yeah. So, so I would say, so let me do the quick reaction really quickly, and then I'll bridge into how you can use this in your career. So a lot of people may look at the Super Bowl performance and say, um, that's Rihanna. So she's been in the game for what, 20 years or something around that. So like she could get on the Super Bowl, she could get on bigger stages. So why would I compare myself to someone like that? However, big however, it's not necessarily the stage. It's about different platforms. But first, you have to know yourself, right? 20 years ago, I'm sure the Super Bowl might not have been checking for her like that, right? So, like, she has kind of built almost like this fortress around her, um partnering with Jay-Z, and now it's like the Fenty and building that, and Fenty is built off of the partnership between her and Louis Vuitton, so like that's 50-50. So which some people might be like, well, why doesn't she own it all? But it's like, but you have that marketing engine of a huge empire that's been there forever. And like Jay-Z had said, if you own 100% of something that's worth nothing,
Hmm.
who cares? Like no one will ever see it, but 1% of $1 billion company or whatever. So so for her, I was really happy. I felt like she did it in her own way. I compared it to how Mariah Carey shows up once a year, but Mariah Carey can show up once a year because she has particular songs that other people, it's harder for other people to sing.
Hmm.
Right. And she writes her own music. Like she literally will sit by herself, as Nick Cannon details, and will create the song from nothing, from silence. And so that level of talent, you're able to show up once a year and maybe put out new songs. So I challenge the people on my timeline, like, how do you get so good at your craft where you don't have to show up 1,000 times a year?
Hmm.
And you have to be on everybody's stages, because it's not about being on everybody's stages. Rihanna came back for the Super Bowl. She didn't come back and get on anybody's stage just because. It was intentional. She wanted us to know that she was pregnant again. She wanted her future child to feel what it's like to be in her stomach while she's on the stage. That's legendary.
Yes.
Her child will always be able to feel like, have those pictures and videos for the rest of their natural life.
Yeah.
I performed in my mother's stomach at the
At
Super
the Super
Bowl,
Bowl.
in the stomach of my mother, who's a black woman from Barbados, who
Hmm.
grew up in poverty,
Hmm.
and made it through all the different things, obstacles, and got to the Super Bowl and was already a billionaire. Would Oprah get on the Super Bowl stage? Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, she technically doesn't have to get on anybody's stage anymore. Fenty will sell. Her records, her streams will sell, but she chose to. And I think it was more purposeful and like legacy based versus I need this money. But the money helps too on the back end. Anyway, so what I would suggest to people if they're in their career and they really want to expand, right? Maybe you want to be promoted in your company. Maybe you want to, maybe you do want to move like to another company, but you want to figure out, how do I do this? How do I expand my network? What do I need to do first? I would suggest, and this is coming from someone who never asked for a raise and was constantly either promoted or switched to a different place in their company by someone seeing my value. I never sucked up to anyone. I was just respectful and genuine, and yeah, and it would just surprise me. They'd be like, hey, just letting you know, this part of the company is getting shut down, but we want you to go over to this shiny new place, and you're going to get paid more, and you can actually work from wherever. So I would work from home. This is before 2020, y'all. I can say it now because I'm not work. They knew they knew I'd be poolside, honey, during the summer in Rhode Island. But anyways, I would suggest from this day forward, if you haven't started, definitely writing down why you feel that you're valuable. Every compliment that you get, whether it's from customers or clients, from your boss, writing that down, because it's not just about asking for a raise. If you want to leave, people want to know, well, what did you do there? And if you want a management position, they want to know, they want to know, well, if if you have a managerial mind, what have you created? What have you suggested, right? If you're ahead of your peers. So finding your stages, I would say in the workplace, outside of networking events, um, which I would go to as well, and created a decent network in the mental health world. I would say knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, also knowing your weaknesses, right? Knowing who to call on. I knew at my last job, I knew who to call. I knew what the question, they know I'm calling. It's Friday, Erin's calling about this. Like it was a rhythm. Like they know Erin doesn't like to do this and I'm really good at this. Like we worked like a well-oiled machine. So building those partnerships within the company, and also, yeah, making friends outside of the company as well. Like at networking events, you can meet people who might have a position open in case you want to make a lateral move or you want to do something different. Go to those events. Eventbrite has free events. I tell my friends, oh, I want to do this and I want to move out of, go to a networking event. You want to do real estate? Go to a real estate event. Who are you going to meet? People interested in real estate, right? Before you take the test, before you go 100 miles per hour, see what the vibe is. See if this is something you really want to do. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say brand awareness in the career world would be: knowing yourself, knowing what you do very well that you can provide anywhere, that makes you marketable, where you can go anywhere, and also knowing your partners, knowing who you can partner with, know who's going to be talking about you when you're not in the room in a positive way. Having those people locked in, so that in LinkedIn, having your LinkedIn up to date, guys,
Hey.
please. Please,
Mhm.
the LinkedIn platform is for career people.
Yes.
How am I, as a business owner, making sales on LinkedIn and y'all don't have your LinkedIn up to date? It's for y'all. Us business owners snuck in the back door and are making sales on here and are
Mhm.
running our businesses. This platform originally was for resumes and for y'all. So make sure you stay on top of that. You never know what's going to be, you know, you never, for me, I feel like there's opportunities on my timeline all the time. I follow someone and they're talking about something. Hey, we're looking for a new psychologist or a new so on and so forth. So make sure that you keep everything fresh, centered, updated, so that you don't have to go back and fix everything later. Like make sure it's up to date.
What struck me the most about what you were just saying is
Mm-hmm.
the actions that we can take in the workplace
Mm,
to establish our brand.
mm-hmm.
And this is a conversation that I have with the folks that I mentor, is about how could you convince someone else that you're worthy and of your value if you don't even believe in your own value or your own
Right,
worthiness?
right,
So it
right.
starts here. It starts within you within your own mind, within your own
Mhm.
consciousness, within your own belief system about w- what value you bring to the table and your worthiness. And I say this because when we get into interviews, we know that communication is what they say 90% body language. Well, if I step into an interview and I don't feel confident,
Mhm.
well, my body language is going to show that I'm not confident.
Right.
And even if the things that come out of my mouth, even if I say I'm confident, the person on the other end is going to feel that I'm not confident.
Right.
And so it's so important for us to start with ourselves and remember what we were saying earlier about checking in with ourselves. Start with ourselves, establish that confidence here first so that when we step into those interviews, the person on the other end is already going to feel this person is confident. This person is bringing so much to the table. This person knows what they're talking about. This person has the skills and abilities. This person is qualified to do
Right.
the job that we're hiring for.
Right.
Reality is that if you're in that interview, they've already vetted you.
Right.
They've
There.
already decided your resume is good enough, that your
Right.
experience is good enough.
Right. Right.
We just need you to tell that story in person, and we need that confidence that's on that resume that's written down to match the story that you tell out loud, and to make that full connection, to make that well-rounded, to make that come full circle. So
Right.
that was and I think when we believe that we're worthy, then we can then take those additional steps to raise our hands when there are opportunities to take on more responsibilities, or to stretch our strengths in another way, or to build on a perceived weakness that we have the confidence to go out and capture those opportunities because we've already done the inner work that's necessary.
Right, because you're stopping yourself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're going to pay you what you think you're worth. If and
Mhm.
what's your body language and your overall how you come across.
Mhm.
Because there's no way a girl like me who was late 90% of the time, like literally there was no way I was getting there. This is why I'm an entrepreneur, right? There was no way in every single job I would be on time for like the first few weeks, first month and a half, but I just couldn't. Time management, I don't know, it's a design it's actually in my human design chart that I just mismanage time. However, now that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm always on time, if not early, for my meetings because I'm motivated. But there's no way that I could have been late to almost every day of every job I've had since college and was never fired, and in the mental health field, never fired, always promoted, and they dealt with it. Because guess what? When I would get there with my Dunkin' Donuts coffee, I would do an amazing job. I was good at what I did. And it wasn't just that I tried hard to be who they wanted me to be. I organically worked well with
Mhm.
clients, with patients. I'm empathetic. You can't teach that. You
Yeah.
can't go to college and learn how to be an empathetic person and be a vibe, a person that people open up to. You can't teach that. You
Mhm.
can't read that in a book and become that. So
And
when oh, keep
yeah,
going.
and I was gonna say in the second part, and that leads me to my second part of what
Hmm.
you were saying, is about the relationships that you have. And you were talking a little bit about networking. What I like to say is the best networking that you can do is on the job, is with your
Hmm.
peers. That's
Hmm.
where the networking happens. If
Yeah.
if you can build a rapport and strong relationships and strong connections, those are going to last beyond those 3, 4, 5 years that you're in that role.
Right.
And you never know. I still have connections with some of my previous colleagues,
Right.
and we still partner up. Even though I'm an entrepreneur now, we still
Mhm.
partner up on projects. We still support each other. right? And we still cheer each other on. And so the best networking that we can do is with our peers. And I didn't realize until much later how important relationships were to my
Yes.
own success. I could be as good as I wanted to be. I could do a wonderful job, but if your relationships are sour, if your relationships are not um if people don't if people don't smile when you come around, then they're not going to want to work with you. That's
Right.
going to impact the way that they see your work. And so it's so important for us to take a step back and to assess how are my relationships. And that also reminds me of something else you were talking about, which was self-awareness of your strengths. And what
Mm,
I found is that the highest performing people that I've ever worked with were honest about what they were good at and what they were not good at, what they liked and what they didn't like.
right.
They were very straightforward about it. I'm not good at time management. And so when you're that honest, now your peers can support you in that way. Right? I had a boss, she said, "I don't like using Excel documents. I don't like," and I said, "Well, I love that. Give that to me. I can do that." And
Right.
then we had this relationship, right? Where we were feeding off of each other and we found that balance. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and continue with our guesses because we are not in Europe, not in America, which means we can only be in Africa.
No.
Okay. Okay, so let me can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you on an island?
Yes.
You are on an island.
Yes.
Okay, that narrows it down a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, okay. Do you have a guess or you want to wait?
Oh no, I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait.
I have a guess because you said this is the what did you say was the most
Most
diverse?
diverse.
Yeah. So, I had to remember where I heard that, and I want to say, and what's crazy is my mentor lives in Morocco, but she goes back and forth between Ghana and Morocco. So she has said this on her Facebook, and I was like, which place did she say it was? Um, well, I'll guess Morocco.
It is Morocco.
Yes. Cause you know why? It was so the top looks like Egypt to me, the middle looks like Morocco, and then you have this tree on the side, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all the travel accounts I follow, and I just can't.
So I told the last person that I interviewed, I said, I'm in trouble if I get a geography buff on the show.
It'll be like,
So
before you
clearly,
ask me these questions, I just want to let you know where you're at. Right.
okay, so that's the fastest anyone has guessed where I'm at in the world.
Mm.
Um, so some fun facts about Morocco is that you could actually stand in the Sahara Desert. So the Sahara Desert actually crosses into Morocco. Also, the highest ski resort in Africa is here as
Mm.
well. Um, I would say there are very beautiful beaches. There are some things about excellent hospitality. And let's see what else is cool about there. There are four unique imperial cities here.
Mm.
And there's a beautiful so I should have chose this image of the high Atlas Mountains because this is a really beautiful place. And I think it would have
Mm.
made a little bit harder for you to guess where I was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the as that's why I was saying, well, it's not really Aztec, but the stuff in the middle, I was like, the homes,
Mhm.
I was like, ooh. And mountain that the way it went, I was like, ooh, I I've seen a picture something like this.
And it was tough to find this image because usually if you Google Morocco, it's the blue
The blue,
home.
and that would have been a dead giveaway. So you can do,
I
yeah,
couldn't do
everybody.
that.
No, 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 no. Um,
All right. So let's move on to our next question.
yeah,
I'm actually going to read a few statistics for you. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
All right. So Disney CEO Bob Iger announced on February 8th, 2023, that they plan to cut 7,000 jobs, representing more than 3% of its global workforce. Zoom CEO Eric Yuan announced layoffs of 1,300 employees, or 15% of its workforce, in early February. Dell announced on February 6th it'll be laying off 6,500 people from its workforce. Spotify announced it would be letting go 6% of its global workforce. And IBM announced that it's cutting roughly 3,900 positions, or 1.5% of its global workforce. And Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella announced the company is making changes that will result in 10,000 jobs being eliminated through the end of March 2023. And this is just a short list of the
Mm-hmm.
like a short list
Mm-hmm.
of the layoffs, and Microsoft is not the highest. So I could go on and on and on, but I want to know, what's your reaction when you hear these facts?
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of like that's how I feel on LinkedIn because I'm living in la la land in business entrepreneurship world where people are making 100,000 or making their money per month and growing their business and traveling and doing different things. So sometimes I get out of touch with people, right, who work 9 to 5s, who need their job, even whether they like it or they like whether they like their job or not, they still have to get up and go. And like because it's been years for me now, I've almost forgotten. Anyways, so for me it's devastating. I think of the single moms, I think of the families, I think of people who just got out of college. I was lucky to have an internship straight out of college. Some people don't even have that. And then if they do have a job now, I'm thinking of how many people's jobs were cut from this, and to me it's devastating because I don't know. I just feel blessed being an entrepreneur. It's not easy all the time, but um what I will say though is for people, so I don't know if you ended up meeting this woman at ROI, but she actually worked for or works for IBM.
Mm,
And she also has a business on the side.
mhm,
And so imagine if she didn't, I mean, I'm sure she won't get fired and knock on wood. I think she's pretty high up in the company, but she already has her side hustle. She already had like whatever happens, God forbid, in years to come, she was with us in Puerto Rico because she has vacation time and she has money and she's scaling her business. So she has already started creating her legacy of whatever happens to her job.
mhm.
So what I would suggest for people that are, but I don't know if can I offer
Of
some
course.
suggestions for. So what I would suggest, and this is something that I wish I had done or had the insight to do, is to, if you feel called, right, going back to the brand, if you feel called to start a side something, it can be, it doesn't have to be a full business. It can be whatever. I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday about being a personal assistant, and
Mhm,
I suggested she go to some events where there are going to be public speakers. They need background assistance for the day to hand them the water, hand them the food, take behind the scenes. Maybe you walk out with 150 at first and you brand that, right? You're taking care, you're protecting their brand as a personal assistant. And you can do it on the weekends or when you're off. So if you feel called to start some type of venture, if it's Airbnb, if it's whatever it is, where it doesn't conflict with your business, I mean, with your 9 to 5, um, I would say if you were starting to get nervous, allow that nervousness to propel you to protect yourself and lean into your desires. That's what happened in 2020.
mhm.
A lot of people left in 2020 because of COVID, including me. Sometimes we allow our fear to
Yep.
take us out of the game when we can stand on top of our fear and let it propel us to the next level of where we really should be, where our higher power has always known we could be, but we were too scared. So it's okay to use that pressure to look at it like, hey, I want to protect myself. So let me look at my options. Should I start painting or babysitting or house sitting? These things, teaching abroad or something like that, being an ESL teacher, or there's so many online different things where you can still stay where you're at. But start now while you have income to pay experts to accelerate your process, because that way, if you do decide to leave in years to come, you have a trade, you have an audience that's already used to hearing you talk about whatever your niche is. You have testimonials, you have people that you can call on, like, hey, do you need my services again? Just lost my job. Do you have anyone? Or whatever. You have an audience of people that know you for something.
Mhm.
If you are wanting to leave your job, your not just your job but your industry. But I feel bad for people that I see on LinkedIn all the time, especially getting close to the holidays. It broke my freaking heart. People like, I just got let go. Does anyone know where I can find it? I can't even explain to you. I don't know. It's probably because I'm a Cancer. I take it personally, even though I don't know this person from a can of paint. But like, it's devastating
Yes.
that people are losing their jobs. So that's all that I would suggest, is that start that creative background thing. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to like announce it to your coworkers, but like letting certain people know, or promoting it in Facebook groups, or going to meetups in person and letting people know in person you do this on the side and you'll be available during evenings or weekends or event planning, whatever it is that you're called to do. And then you have that as a backup. Some people, that's all they had in 2020, you know?
And our careers align so much because I also started my business during COVID, so 2019, 2020.
Mhm.
And I had already had my business prior. So I had my side hustle. I
Mhm.
was working full time, and my side hustle never
Yeah.
quite took off because I was working all the time. And COVID was really, that was the push that I needed to be able to make the choice to, as you said, stand on top of my fears and launch my business as a full-time business owner.
Right.
And it was the best decision I've made in my recent life, I would
I
say.
bet. I
And
know it
there were
was.
so many fears. There was so much anxiety, and it wasn't even anxiety about my future. It was the anxiety that I had pent up and built up in my corporate job that was following me into a space where I didn't need that anxiety anymore, but it was still palpable, it was still present, it was still influencing me. And that was during the time when you were talking about mental health.
Mhm.
I really started to dive into cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mm.
And what surprised me about CBT is that mindfulness and meditation is a core part of your mental health recovery.
Yeah.
And so similarly to you, that's when I really started getting really connecting more with deeply spiritually, and that helped lift me out of that space of feeling that anxiety,
Right.
and to a higher place and to a higher level where I could operate my business and I could scale it. I would also say I love your recommendation or suggestions about, hey, now's the time to start your side hustle. And the reason why is because I actually have a program for young professionals teaching them how to leverage their digital skills to make money online. In addition to teaching them how to make money online, we're also teaching them how to build their own digital products so that they can take and sell those to the marketplace and makes an income, a passive income, while they're looking for a job, or maybe that's a gateway into entrepreneurship for them. And so we're actively building out this program, and I'm really excited about what it's going to look like in a couple of weeks, in a couple of months, in a year.
Yeah.
But hearing you say that is such validation, because I agree. I think a lot of people are realizing now that what we thought were stable corporate jobs are actually not as stable as we thought they were. And this idea of loyalty to a corporation as being the idea of success, right? Because I think our previous generation thought about, well, if I stay at a job for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, well, I'm successful.
That, and that was a blessing in the time. That literally was a blessing that they were able to have a job, go to cop, like there's respect there. But
Yes.
times have, I've told my mom, I'm like, times have changed, mom. They're not paying us. And it's like if people can get a job out of college, so it's like times have changed. But anyways.
So so okay, I guess it's my turn to guess where you are.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've gotten so many I've so we're not in the United States,
Nope. Not in Europe,
not in Europe,
not in
not in
Africa.
Africa. We are we in Japan?
No.
Are we in Asia?
Mm-mm.
Where
You were closer when you said South America or
I was Oh, okay, so we're in Central America.
no. Too close. It's an island, so we're this is so funny. You're like, "Wait."
Okay, give me another guess.
Like a clue?
A clue. Yes.
Um, I mean the when you guess it, you're going to be like, "Oh my gosh." And so there's one clue I could give you, but it would give the whole thing away. So,
Okay.
um from like the things we're talking about. So the clue I would say, can I say that it's in the Caribbean? Can I say
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the clue.
Okay.
Just to wrangle you back from Japan.
Okay, so I have it looks like I have about 6 options. You said we're not in the United States, so it's not Puerto Rico.
No.
So I have 5 options. 5
Mhm.
5 well,
Mhm.
there are a lot of there are a lot of islands.
Yeah. And to be
There
honest, when I found this photo, I was like, "Where is this beach? Like, what's going on here?" I had to go look and look it up. But
Okay.
anyway,
I have 3 strong guesses.
okay,
Well, 4 strong guesses, maybe 5,
okay.
maybe perhaps 6.
Mhm.
So, let's move on. You've already guessed where I'm at.
I know.
So, let's ask our next question. You talked
Mhm.
about human-centered design when you introduced yourself. So, what is human-centered design? Can you tell us what that is, and how can young professionals apply it to their lives to attract their dream careers?
Absolutely. So human design essentially is, and you can go online and type this in. Um, I think one of the sites is mybodygraph.com or something. But if you type in free human design chart, you can go in and at least get your profile. You may
Mhm.
not know how to read it, but at least you have some of the pieces to it, and it'll explain the very, very basic level of what human design is. Anyway, or your profile. So anyways, it's very much like typing in your information to get your astrological chart. But instead of just your astrology, it also includes I Ching and all these different modalities. So it's like the supercharged personality test. And so people use it not just for business, but also for to better their relationship with their partner, to be able to communicate better, to be able to exist at your job and find out like, like this is something I can take into corporate America and have people understand, oh, okay, this person's a projector. So they're actually only supposed to be working 3 to 4 hours a day, so let me get them during their good time. Then the rest of the time they're kind of they need to rest because they have these powerful ideas. They see the big picture that the rest of us don't necessarily see, and they're trying to save us time. So let me use their good energy and leave them alone for the rest of the time.
Hmm.
Whereas a generator, so I have generator clients in business, and they can work many more hours than I can. I'm a 3-5 projector.
Hmm.
They can go way longer than I can, but they have to be working in joy. And a lot of them are caught up doing things that their family wanted them to do, or the nice job, the nice cushy job or whatever. So they're miserable, or
Mhm.
they become miserable because they've been working that job forever and they're ready for the next thing, but they're so used to doing what they should do, or what society feels they should do. So through my brand strategy, we revamp everything for the business to make it fit your personality, your aura. So when you talk to people, they organically notice you because you're coming into the situation with joy. You're not attached to the result as much as a lot of marketers are teaching, like results, results, results. Results are cool, but money means nothing if I hate what I do for business.
Mm.
So we need to get my aura together and we need to be working enjoy, and then we can go and pitch for workshops. Then we can go and I can go DM someone, or whatever kind of your response style is. It's different for every profile. So yeah, I do the chart with them and then do the traditional branding when it comes to target audience, making sure they're clear on who they're talking to, how to talk to them, their team knows how to talk to them to attract them, and that type of thing, the value of their services. And in regards to how people can use it in the workplace, outside of just knowing other people's human design, you can also just know yourself better. And signing up for certain things is never going to turn out well. Like as a projector, me going after jobs, you see, if you remember, I told you about how I was promoted continuously. I never asked for it.
Mhm.
That's typically a projector. People come to us. The right situations come to us. So when we go chase, like I did my ex-husband, and now you guys heard that X, big
Oh.
X, right? When we go chase, when we're
Mhm.
out of, when we're out of alignment and we
Mhm.
go, whether it's thirst or desperation or whatever, we go and chase certain things. When we're not aligned, we're aligned to receive, not chase. We
Mhm.
end up in situations that we regret, so having your human design chart, whether you go and look at it for free. I know I do human design live readings as well for 300. um and having that awareness is just good for your entire lifestyle. Like I do yoga now. I can let go of things. I don't feel like I have to be working 24/7 just because that's all I see online, because I'm not designed that way. There's certain
Mm.
coaching programs that will never work for me because I've tried their model. I am not a post 3 times a day type of chick. People refer people to me, and there are other ways that I can spread my message, but I can't market like the other types. It's never going to feel good, and it's not going to work at the level. It's just not going to be at the level that everybody else gets. So that's how you could use it in your personal or professional life.
Yeah, and I really like what you said about attracting and not chasing, because something that I see a lot of young professionals do when they're applying for jobs is because we're just trying to get a job. We end up applying for jobs that aren't really actually a good fit for us, or we apply for jobs that we don't actually want, or we apply for jobs that aren't even related to the thing that we studied in school.
Right.
And because we're just chasing and you're just trying to make some money, and we have this anxiety that's influencing us to get it fast,
Right.
instead of taking our time, slowing down, and being intentional about our job search, so that we can attract the opportunities that are in
Hmm.
alignment with our purpose, our vision, our mission, and what we want, ultimately what we want out of life. And
Right.
so I'm definitely going to look up this human centered design, because
Yeah.
it sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna guess where you are. Well, before I
Okay.
guess, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
Is Rihanna from this region?
Yes,
Okay. Is it Barbados?
it is. That's why I like, because I was just like, oh, because I was gonna do the other one, and then I was real quick, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let me do this. Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, that's why I couldn't tell you. Oh, the person we were discussing,
Right.
I couldn't tell you really anything because everybody pretty much knows where Rihanna is from at this point. I couldn't tell you. Oh, they call their people Bajans because a lot of people have heard, or maybe not, So I can't
I've
tell you
never
their
heard
name.
that before. If you had said that, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, they call each other Bajans.
and
Uh,
why is that?
I don't know exactly why, but the other name is Barbadians, but
Barbadians.
they say
Okay.
Bajan, like the Bajan way and stuff like that.
Because I was wondering if there is some Asian influence there at all, or
I'm
maybe,
curious about that. I'm not
perhaps.
sure. Maybe. But what there was another fun fact I wanted to tell you.
It's
Uh,
Bayesian with a J.
Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tricky,
Bahans,
right?
Bajans,
Yeah,
so that makes sense. Bahamas, Bayesian. Okay.
yeah, like the Barbados. I don't know. It's interesting how they did that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I traveled there twice.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time I traveled there, in 2019, right before the pandemic, I actually decided I want to leave my job. Going
Wow.
there was what I had been interested in
Released you.
entrepreneurship, but
Mm.
what I saw there in Barbados and how that country made my soul feel,
Mm.
I didn't wanna leave, and I had 14 days of vacation. I still didn't wanna leave. I missed my flight 3 times. It's a lot. It's I we can go on, but it was a wild story of me just getting back and actually going back to my job because I was like, "I never wanna come back from vacation if I don't want to."
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
valid. So, that's enough of an excuse, and this is, again, before COVID. So it's
Right.
so weird that, like, your higher like, I literally went back and started figuring out what is going to be my business and counting down until I launched my business, and I did that June, July.
Mhm.
But, like, it was Barbados itself of, what if I lived a lifestyle where I never had to come home, where
That's good.
everywhere was my home? I could go and travel and work and live, and then the pandemic came and I was like, well, if this isn't a sign, we ask God, send me a sign, send me a sign. I think COVID was a sign for a lot of us of
Agreed.
all different types of reasons to do whatever. But
All right. Well, Aaron, we're here at the end of our show. But before you go, I have one more question. It's a
mhm,
question that we ask everyone who comes on the show.
yes.
And that question is, how would you describe success?
Mm. I would describe success as free flowing. Um, Very much, and this is one of the reasons I think Rihanna kind of was the topic, but I have to use her. It's not just that she's beautiful, it's that she has taken one thing that she was really good at. If there's anything we can learn from Rihanna, she has taken something that she was really good at, but was also very taxing on her body, doing tours and I can't even
Mhm.
imagine, parlayed those partnerships and relationships we spoke about earlier, right?
Mhm.
A lot of what she's doing is she's partnered up. She's leaning on those contacts she made when she was putting out her music and is
Mm.
still the music icon. Um but success to me is free flowing. So I have this business, I'm in love with it, but I'm also interested in other businesses. So I will be able to use, as Pinky Cole at the ROI Summit said, your
Mhm.
moral resume,
Mm.
right? So your moral resume there are no doors that can keep your moral resume out of different rooms. Your moral resume of how people feel about you, how people are impacted by you, they will that will get you in different doors. So if you're like, "Oh, I want to do this and then I want to do that after 5 years and 10 years," you can do all of that with your relationships that you built. So that's success to me. I mean, I definitely plan on having a house in Barbados. I already
Hey.
looked up Rihanna's area and I was like, the country just makes me feel like I'm home. It's weird. It's like when I went there, I'm like, I feel like my soul has been here. I was just expecting for it to be beautiful, but I feel like, and even the way people were talking to me was like, "What took you so long?" type of vibes.
Mm.
And I've never felt that in a country before. So, anyways, but freedom to travel, freedom to spend, freedom to invest in my mental health, freedom to focus on me becoming the best potential mother for my future children, and to be supported with a midwife, with a doula, with money already saved for diapers and everything else, so that whether I have postpartum or not, that I mom is taken care of. Mom's
Mhm.
not running to do soccer and all of these things. Mom has a personal assistant. Mom has a housekeeper. Mom has a private chef, or
Mhm.
at the family, but like, so that is what success looks like to me.
And that is beautiful. I love how you described it. It's so clear, it's so vivid. And I think that's a lesson that we can all take is if you have a goal, if you have a vision, if you have a dream, really bring it to the forefront and describe what that feels like,
Yes.
because you might be there, right? Faster than you imagine. And you think, oh, I need to have all this money and I need to have all of this opportunity. And all it takes is one person seeing something great in you, or all it takes is for the universe to shift in a way and for you just to end up exactly where you're supposed to be and exactly where you want to be. And you'll wake up and you'll say, man, I'm here. I made it.
Right. This was why everything else had to happen exactly how it happened
Yeah.
divinely.
hmm Well, thank you so much, Erin, for joining us. This was a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I learned so much. I'm definitely, again, going to go look up my human centered design because I'm curious as to what I am.
Yeah, tell
Um,
me, you have to tell me immediately. Like, I talk
okay.
to people online. This is what I talk about in the DMs, y'all. I talk about this in making money and mental health. That's all I talk about in my DMs, is literally like, what's your chart? What did it say? And what's your line? So you have to please tell me when you find out.
Well, you have my commitment, and I would love to have you on the show at another time. Until then, thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week. Peace.